Third Phase of the Moon broadcasting, and it is Blake Cousins along with my brother Brett Cousins. He's here with us, and we are live. If you've been checking out YouTube on our Third Phase of the Moon YouTube channel, we've been broadcasting recently live, and maybe that's how you heard about this radio show tonight, because we're just in the rain out there broadcasting, looking for UFOs, extreme weather, lightning going on in our neighborhood, flash floods, and we got to share a little bit with you in regards to that. But if you've got a UFO story you want to share, all you have to do after you call into the numbers, press that number 1, and you'll be taken straight to the top of the call list. Let's start going to the callers, because that's what we do. We share the information. Let's get some information out. How are you doing? 801, you're live.
Hello. Can you hear me?
Got you loud and clear. What's on your mind tonight?
Oh, I got a bunch of good stories. I just got out of the shower, so I don't know how this is going to work. But anyway, have you heard of the bases on, underneath Kings Peak in Utah?
Are they military bases that were built over there? Fill us in.
Yeah, well, there's a few stories out there that actually talk about them, but you can go up there and hike around. There's a couple lakes that actually don't have names. We're pretty sure that the ships come up out of those lakes because they don't really have bottoms, the lakes. But that's just a story that's basically on my mind. But what I really wanted to talk to you about was the fact that I have a story. It's a short story, but it's a great one, and it's about how there's several stars in our skies that are not stars, and they're ships, and there's a few people out there that know about this, and I'm sure you've heard of it. Have you?
Yeah, but the thing that comes to mind in regards to these misidentified UFOs in the sky, or whatever they're being called, is that they could be planets, they could be stars. What makes you think that this isn't a star? You got to give me a really good reason here.
I just want to make sure that you've heard of it, because it's quite simple. I guess they pick who can see you, or who can see them. And about 4 years ago, I was basically up here in Utah, Midway, up in the mountains. And I've been working up here for 3 years. And this was at the beginning of these 3 years. And all of a sudden, I was just, looking at the stars after dinner, and I saw this flash in the east sky. And I looked up, and it was like this star, the same size as, an average star, was going across the sky slowly. And it kept on going. And then this kid that lives around here was feeding his horses, and he basically was like, "What you looking at?" And I was like, "Look," I pointed up in the sky, and he was like, "Wow, is that a satellite?" I'm like, "No, that's too big for a satellite." And then finally the star just stopped about 5 minutes later, because it was going really slow. And it finally stopped. And the rest of the night it was a star. And that's the same star that I've known about for a long time. And I know what I saw. I know that this happened. And basically since then, I was like, with my laser, I was like, "I saw you. I know you're not a star." And then it went up and down, like, I know. And I couldn't believe that. And then after that, I got to know this star, this ship, whatever it is. And I could ask it certain questions. It can only give you a up and down for yes and a sideways for no. And there's about 3 more in the sky that I've been checking out. And he's, I've asked them lots of different questions about everything from, who are you? And I'm actually, I think, talking to the ship itself, because these ships are alive. And, so, and then I asked him, I pointed this out to some of my other friends.
When you ask these things, the questions via the flashes and their response via yes or no, do they always get it right?
What do you mean?
How do you say you're trying to communicate with them and they're giving you yes and no answers? Have you questioned any of their yes and no's? Does it seem like it is a very consistent response, correct responses?
Yeah, actually, I'm college educated. I'm a smart guy. I do a lot of studying because I don't have much to do. Working up here in the mountains on these projects of this wealthy man who has loads of houses, and we do historic renovations for them. But anyway, so I'm constantly studying about this stuff. I've been studying it for about 6-7 years, and I have so many stories and interesting things. But this is, I think, the most important that people need to know, that I guess they gave me the impression that it's almost like you have to be worthy. And I've pointed this out to other friends, and maybe a couple of my good friends, and then a few of my family members, and only 2 out of like 10 people have been able to see them move. And I ask them why, and they say only certain people are allowed to know and able to see them move. And I'm like, well, are you actually moving? Because it sure looks like it. Sometimes you just carefully look and you can see them not going slowly. If you're good, you can see a star slowly move across the sky over the night towards from east to west. And yet these stars don't just go east to west. They will they'll move sideways, they'll go back, they'll just do all these different moves, and if you look, it's easy. You can tell. And I guess I've gotten good at it, but there was a guy from Australia, and he talked about this. I don't know his name. I forgot his name. He was on a program. He's like, yeah, there's a few stars up in the sky. And I was like, that was the first guy. I was like, right on. That's exactly what I'm experiencing. And then a few months ago, there was another person, and they talked about it too. And basically, I know for a fact that they're not stars. And here and there, they'll actually...
Let me ask you this. Some people are asking maybe a star chart map, an app that you could point your smartphone up in the sky and make sure that what you're looking at is not a star. And have you tried to do any of that with these apps out nowadays?
Yeah, no, I did that long ago. That was the first thing I did. And they're actual, well, here and there you'll get stars that there's no star where they're supposed to be. I mean, where they are. But then there's other stars where they, supposedly, this is what I asked them. I said, so you guys basically, what do? You park over a star? Because that's what this other one did. I don't know if I explained that properly, but the first time I ever saw this 3-4 years ago, it actually parked itself right over another star. And so I guess supposedly some of these ships can actually park themselves over a star. So you actually think it's a star, and their lights are quite bright. And so basically I've asked it a lot of really cool questions, and that's a whole nother show, because there's some interesting stuff that they're talking about, and most people probably wouldn't be able to. I mean, this show could handle it, but most average people couldn't handle that kind of stuff. So
yeah,
but anyway,
I got you. You know what's it's interesting too is about. I was just about to say, you witnessed this thing park itself. So you're right away saying this isn't a satellite. Satellites don't park themselves, and it stayed consistent. It was blending in with the star. What a great place for it to camouflage itself with the luminance of the star, and then it being within that realm of light. So it makes a lot of sense. It definitely does. And, keep us up to date. It sounds like you've been studying this for a while, and that's good. That's what we want people to do, is get their minds open in regards to what's going on above us in the skies. All right, so we've got a few minutes left here, approximately 30 minutes. We're going to take a quick break. Everybody, if you got something you want to share, just press that number 1 after you call in. Press number 1 on your dial pad, and then we'll get to you. Stand by, everybody. Blake Cousins. We'll be right back. Here we go. Here we go. Third phase moon. We're back live. Let's get a question into one of the callers in regards to the 801 caller who's still online. So we've maybe got some questions for him in regards to these extraterrestrial craft parking themselves in front of stars to basically to disguise themselves and basically keep an eye on us, but hide in plain sight in the night skies. Area code 248. What do you think? Do you think that could be possible? Are they hiding amongst the stars?
Absolutely. I think you can make a mental connection with them. I had that experience myself. If you think in your mind, if you're not a plane, do something strange. And I've had them do exactly that, do something really weird, and they'll connect with you.
Right, great. Hey, welcome to the show. Thanks for asking that question. So let's talk about this phenomenon that people are witnessing. It sounds like you've witnessed something yourself. Is that one of the reasons why you're calling in tonight?
Yeah, I've got a lot of experiences, but just to connect with what other people are going through, I've had a few times where you see something strange, and you might think it's a plane or a star, and if you can mentally connect with it, and I've seen it where the lights would turn or they'll change, or like in the case with the triangle, it did an L turn and flew over my van, but that's what happened. I mentally connected with it. And that's why I was mentioning the dreams, because it happened in a dream first, and then it happened in reality.
Absolutely. Yeah, I've seen the L-shaped phenomenon myself in the sky, and it totally blew me away. I don't know if I am trying to make any kind of mental communication with it, but it sounds like people are actually doing this for sure. So area code 801, so you're up there. Is this still going on a continued basis? Are these things like surrounding Earth, and what do you think the agenda is, and why are they parking themselves in front of stars to hide?
Are you still talking to me, Blake?
Yeah, that's a question to you. Yep.
Oh, okay. Oh, wow. I don't know how to answer that. All I know is that I have about four stars I know of, and yet I sometimes get the feeling like it's a lot more than that, because I'll just sit under the stars and watch them for, an hour or so, especially when it's warm in the summer, and they basically, they sometimes will flash at you and basically let you know that they want your attention, and they like to talk to you, believe it or not. I think they're bored or something, because sometimes I'll get this feeling and I'll look up in the sky and one of the stars will sort of like be moving, like, hey, waving, and I'll be like, oh, wow, do I have this time? But I know that sounds silly, but they like to talk to certain people. I ask them some of the coolest questions, like, so who's in your ship? And I'll be like, is it part of the U.S.? And some of the stars I think are U.S. Or Black Project's ships. And then a couple of the other ones they don't tell me who they are. They only tell me who they are if they have U.S. people in them. And then I ask them, do you have aliens in the ship? And sometimes they'll say that they're alien, and sometimes they'll say that they're combination of U.S. and alien. So that's all I get from them. But anyway.
Well, that's kind of interesting information, and it's such a long distance communication. Do you believe it's fast as the speed of thought, or is it some kind of transmission?
Oh yeah, no. I mean, if you studied, like, I got so much information in my head ever since I started taking these monatomic elements. It's like if you know how to be healthy and eat healthy, when the pharaohs were fed the conical cakes of the white powder of gold, and they lived to be several hundred years old. And so I've been studying this for years, and actually producing this stuff. It's like minerals for your body. And once you start becoming healthy with lots of minerals, it's like your mind just expands on a level that most people are very unhealthy. And so, at least in the United States. And so ever since I started taking these monatomic minerals and being super healthy up here on this project, I think that's when my energy was expanded enough to where I could actually see them and be aware of them. And anyway, if you're ever curious about these monatomic elements, I think that's part of how this next phase of Earth, of us becoming aware of the UFOs, of the aliens, of free energy and all of that stuff, it has to do with these monatomic elements. Jesus, and when Jesus took off for those 11 years or whatever, he ended up taking this white powdered gold when he was with the pharaohs, and I think they went to Asia, and visited Asia. And anyway, and then when he came back, he ended up making or producing all those miracles. And if you study the properties of these monatomic elements, they're closely associated with all alien groups. They all know about this. That's why they live so long. This is just common knowledge, and yet that's the reason why the corrupt people at the top, the elite, have taken away our gold. They don't want us having gold. They want us stumbling across the fact that that's why the people in the Bible lived to be so long. That was just part of their everyday life. The word worship used to be workship. We worked for the gods, making these monatomic elements. And if you read the Sumerian text and the cuneiform tablets, you understand that that's part of the prophecy, is that these monatomic elements, which we used to work for the gods, making these monatomic elements, they're going to be re-exposed to the human race. And that's when, instead of using 10 to 20% of our brain, we're going to end up using 70 to 90% of our brain. And I swear that my brain is maybe around 40%, because I'm constantly soaking up information and stuff. And that's why I think I can sense when they want to talk. And, I'm a little nervous because of talking on the phone, and there's so many ideas in my head that I'm temporarily forgetting, but I got some really good stories for the future. So keep my number in your mind or written down, and I'll call you guys on another show to give you some quality information. But people should understand it's time to get healthy. All these GMO foods, fluoride, all this stuff is it's so bad for the body and the pineal gland and just the body's energy. And that's what it comes down
Absolutely.
To, is energy.
Sure. It does. It does come down to positive energy as well. But it does sound like there is some kind of ancient formula that these aliens were formulating. And I'm sure they want to live as long as anybody else does. And I'm sure they've mastered this. That's why they're already here, and that their technology is so vast they were able to live these lives that extended far longer than humans. And this needs to change. It needs to change. And appreciate that. Do some of that history on the Sumerians and the ancient formulaic. Basically, what is this made of, and what are the benefits? I'd like to hear about it. All right, we're going to go to another caller. They've been lining up here, and if you've got something to share, just press number 1 as you call in. Okay, 904, you're live on Third Phase Moon Radio, and I want to share what's on your mind tonight. So you've got the forum. Go ahead.
Hey, Blake, it's Matt. Can you hear me?
You're loud and clear. A little staticky. Not exactly sure where that's coming from, but yeah, go. You're live.
Here. How's that now? Good? Okay. I don't want to waste your guys' time, getting on the phone. Everyone kind of takes a while to get going and stalls out. But real quick before I get into what I wanted to say, the guy before, I was like, oh, man, what's this guy going to talk about? But he makes some excellent points, and a lot of things he said I completely agree with. And it's also funny because I've had a thing that's happening where I've been looking at the sky a lot lately, and I kind of see things every once in a while, and I kind of have seen the same things as him, things that looked like the stars, and then they kind of moved, and then they got back. I've seen them in the sky, 10 to 20 at a time. So it's been kind of wild. But a quick little story, what I wanted to share with you guys, which was kind of cool. I was in the Army for the last 8 years. I was in special operations, and I was up at Fort Bragg. And I can't really get into too much of it, but I saw something that was a little strange that got me totally believing in all this. And I was always a skeptic. The thought never crossed my mind of UFOs or anything like that. And it really got me going. I started doing research, and I started kind of having this, this thing come back to me where, something happened when I was younger. I always had this dream of something that came through my room, and when I was little, and I saw this guy, and over the last year, it's become super clear. It's kind of it's opened up. It's the craziest thing. And it was totally a gray alien. I didn't get hurt or anything. I don't know if I was abducted. I'm still kind of scratching the surface on all this stuff, and it's been it's been unbelievable. And I'm kind of just calling to ask for, your patience with everyone that calls is amazing. You guys are unbelievable. I've really embraced kind of the things that I've been seeing now, and I don't know how my story is going to unfold. But I just wanted to ask you guys, what kind of advice do you have for people who are just kind of getting into, knowing that something happened, but they don't really know where to go from there? You know what I mean? It's kind of when I was in the military, I saw something that totally made me okay, this stuff is the real deal. And then my mind opened up, and I did reading and stuff, and I'm going on and on. Sorry, guys. I don't want to take up too much of your time.
Well, basically, I think the first thing you need to do is tell us what you saw in the military, because people got to tell their stories. And once they do, that's a big start, and that's why we do this. We open up that platform, and we've got to go through a lot of people to get to amazing stories, and people could relate with them. So what happened? What happened there?
Man, I would really it's so fresh since I got hurt. I got medically retired. I had surgery, had a hip replacement, so I got kind of medically retired, and it happened really fast. And it was such a short, it's been such a short time span. Since that, I would almost be scared to talk about it. It would be something that I would absolutely talk to you in person or offline. I don't know who's listening or whatever, but, I would definitely, maybe love to write you an email or chat about it. But right now I don't feel super comfortable, just going, on the phone live to, your million visitors yet. Not saying I won't, but yet, you know what I mean?
Sure. Yeah, I understand. There's been thousands of people that have called into the show. A lot of people with, clearance, top secret clearance, and they've shared their stories. And we don't reveal where our sources come from if they don't want to be revealed. And so far, I think it's been good, because once the story's been put out, there's nothing they could do to stop it. And I think that's why we do these live radio shows. But I can understand that. But in regards, it's about taking your time as well in regards to this. And that's some advice that I want to give people out there that have these encounters, these experiences that they witness that they can explain, is basically question what you saw first off. And that's the big thing. You got to eliminate any kind of aspect of something that could be misidentified, or the experience is not the experience you really thought it was. But once you've taken that all out of the way and figured out you can't really explain what's going on, then you got to question what really did go on. And it is really hard for people to start to question, could this be something that's an alien kind of intervention going on, or is there something? And then you got to do your research. And I say you then got to listen to other people's stories. And there's not many people out there and not many shows that really get to share this kind of experience like Third Phase Moon does. So I think it's great that you're coming out and telling us that people do need a place to go.
Yeah, I mean, I remember it like it's like, I was in my bed, I was sleeping. I was about, 12 years old. I had this, nice room, first floor with a lot of land in my backyard. This thing definitely came through my window, and it was a total, gray alien. And he was there. It was like he was hanging out in my room. And all I do remember is that whatever happened, there was like no bad feelings. It was like a good conversation. I don't know if we were chatting each other up, but it was like a really, good experience, if that makes any sense. I don't really know the details, and that's something that I'd like to, unlock eventually, but it's just new for me, man. I'm sorry. I'm just trying to figure it out. If anybody wants to call me and talk about it, hey, man, give me a shout.
Well, yeah, absolutely. And, my brother and I, when we were about 4 years old, we saw like 2 or 3 gray aliens walk into our room, and we were
that's like the
in
same
close
thing.
proximity.
Oh,
and they're very playful. There was no. You don't remember everything. It's very vague, but I do
so
remember
cool.
them. We saw them in their jumpsuits, and you're very calm, and there's no ill intent felt. We didn't feel like we're they're threatened in any way. You said there was only one that came in through the window. How did it climb through the window, open the window? I remember when we experienced it, they slowly opened the door, and then they kind of pittered and pattered through the bedroom.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I don't remember. I think it was, open because we live in Florida, and it's so the weather's nice, like in the spring, and it's cool in the fall. And I just think it was open. Dude came in, like I had a little dresser by the window, sat on there, and I can kind of look back now and see, and when I picture it, I can see like me and him having this conversation, and it was almost like we were just hanging out. He was telling me this stuff. I felt really great about it. But what's crazy is I'm 35 years, I don't even know how old I am. I'm 35 right now. And this happened, over, 20 years ago. And just when my thing that happened when I was in the Army, it kind of like unlocked a door of like, it's like my mind got, completely opened to things that I had never even thought about, like ever. You know what I mean? It was just incredible.
Yeah, let me ask you, is the Fort Bragg event that you're talking about, was it the one in North Carolina or the one in California?
Yeah, no, the home of the Special Operations, like where JSOC and 3rd Special Forces Group and 7th Special Forces Group used to be there, and Delta Forces there outside of Fort Bragg. So that's where like the home of Special Operations is. So it was the one in North Carolina. I was up there. I went to selection, Special Forces selection, got selected. Then I went to the qualifying course, and then I worked up there. And yeah, it was crazy, man. And then another thing that I will tell you, though, is I was out in the woods, and we were doing these long land navigations where you put a rucksack on, and you, in the middle of the night, pitch black, you're in the middle of the woods. They drop you in the middle of the woods, and you're hiking. You do about 12 to 15 miles. And me and a friend of mine, I mean, we used to see some crazy stuff. And this is before the incident happened. And I was always like, dude, what is that? Like, what is that? It was like now that I think about it, it was like a hotbed of activity. And the stuff that's going on there now is probably like, I mean, incredible. I've done a little research about, the guys, the Special Forces team that went and killed that Bigfoot, supposedly. I want to dig in and ask some people about that I know that are still, connected and can find that information out and see if that stuff happened. But it seems like if you do research in that area, there's tons of stuff that's gone on. And I had no idea. I mean, no idea this stuff was going on.
Well, you know what? When you've thought about it and you're ready to share your experience, Third Phase Moon is going to be here, and we really want to know what happened in Fort Bragg North Carolina, special force operations witnessed something. I don't know, but it sounds like we need to hear this. We need to hear it, and you don't have to tell us exactly what date or whom you're with.
It's been like on my chest. I feel terrible because all the listeners are probably like, this guy's such a ass. He's not sharing it. But I mean, I just had to like kind of get it off my chest, and I guess this is my first step. You know, I was like, let me go and talk to these guys and test it out and see how it goes. I just don't want these dudes knocking on my door, because they do come and check things out and say, hey man, you swore a security oath. Like, what are you doing? Like, I still have a clearance like right now to this date, you know? So it's like, it's just a kind of a conflict, you know? I mean, it's just tough. It really is tough.
Well, when you put it that way, and you're serving your country, and you signed the deal here. You don't want to be compromised, and I can understand that. So I know there is a time period afterwards that it will expire, but maybe we don't want to wait that long. But if there is a way we could get get this experience out, let's figure it out. But wow, I appreciate the call and the questions.
Hey, you guys are phenomenal, man. Your attitude towards everybody, and you guys' patience with everyone, and you guys are incredible. I mean, it's awesome to listen to. I listen to you every day. Car, work, sleeping, stay up all night reading. You guys are incredible. Thank you for everything you do. Oh, and you should definitely do like a third phase moon get together in Las Vegas and have everyone pay like $100 to come and see you at a conference center and hang out and get like the whole crew together and everyone just swap stories. You guys need to do that. I think that would be the next step of your channel, and I think that would, you know, be a cool thing for all the fans and the fellow seekers and the experiencers to kind of, you know, get together and kind of, you know, be like a family. That would be sweet.
Yeah, you're making me think about it. You're making me think, because the third phase of Moon tour around the United States, inviting the callers from around the United States that have called in, share their experience in a live forum. The third phase of Moon tour, man, it would be amazing. Idea. For that. That is, maybe we'll consider this, and it is, that would be, and we wouldn't be charging no $100, man. We'd make. You
got to make money, though. I mean, you got to make money for your time. Everyone would be willing to do that to see you guys out there, man. Trust me.
Well, it's something to think about. 2018. You never know. It's coming right up, and third phase of Moon. You know, we've been here for a while, and we've been always on the border of changing the way things are being presented. We're the ones that started the whole YouTube conversation in regards to the UFO phenomenon. Now people are calling in, like we've just heard tonight. We're going to be doing it again next week, Friday. So I invite everybody from around the world to join us. And what an incredible show tonight. Stay tuned for more live YouTube events. We were doing those live YouTube streams as you've been seeing, and you never know what's going to happen. You really never know what's going to happen. So that's right. You just never know. But get your cameras ready and have that steady hand, because things are in the skies and you're going to be capturing them. Everybody, see you again next time.